All right, it's 2025. That's right. It's the beginning of the year, and it is behind the scenes at a board game publisher. I'm Peter Vaughan at Cardboard Alchemy, and we take you behind the scenes making games. And we have a very exciting game coming out very soon, which is Critter Kitchen. So hopefully, many of the people who are going to watch this stream are going to get in on our latest game. This will be our fourth game made at Cardboard Alchemy. So of course we do have a lot of thoughts about how to make games, and we have a lot of thoughts about what games we're going to work on next. And we want to talk to all of you. We've got Rosie, our communications manager, in the chat saying hello, and also will be talking to us about what she played over the holiday. I'll tell you what I played over the holiday. We want to hear what you played over the holiday. What you're still playing. There's a lot of people who post online, what was your last game of 2024? What was your first game of 2025? I want to know. I actually, because I played so many games over the holiday, I don't yet have a first game played of 2025, which is a crime. I'll have to fix that this weekend. But I have what my final game was out of 2024. And I played 36 games in a row over the holiday. So I don't feel like I have missed out. I did get a lot of gaming in. And it's exciting because 2025 has a chance to even do more gaming. I know a lot of my friends are doing 10 by 10s. I want to hear what's on your 10 by 10 if you're doing one. I want to hear what conventions you're going to, if you're going to go places and see other friends at game conventions this year. And I want to hear what you're hoping for in terms of what games you're looking forward to. So anyway, we're going to talk a lot about Critter Kitchen as well. We've also got, we put out a New Year's post for Flamecraft, because Flamecraft is going to have a massive year. I can't even with that game. This game is getting all of the things at once. Like Flamecraft is having such a resurgence this year, where we've got mini expansions and new products and exciting things, just merch wise and everything. There's so many cool things for Flamecraft. So we could talk about some of that as well. That will be covering that quite a bit over this year, but happy to give people the sneak peek about what we're doing over here. Manny is going off, says Mike, and I agree. Manny has got Manny Vega, who's the designer of Flamecraft, and Sendara Tang, who's the artist behind Flamecraft. Both have decided to go full-time in the business this year. So I think that's really exciting, and they picked a particularly good year for it, considering that we're just making tons of Flamecraft stuff. But I know they've got another really fun game that's coming out this year called Tea Witches. I'm going to get this right. Tea Witches with the Op, which looks beautiful, and it's going to be a really fun rondel experience. I can already tell. I definitely want that game. And I know that game will be fun coming up, but also, Sendara illustrated Critter Kitchen behind me. So we've got just so much Sendara art coming. It's going to be so cool to see. There's in Critter Kitchen, I think we once counted it's 72 unique animals, which are, of course, in her world, all hybrid fun animals. So there are lots of fun characters to see in Critter Kitchen. And I just saw Peter C. Hayward running some games of it at a game night, and people were loving it. I just can't wait for people to get that game. So please ask your questions. If you have any questions for us, we will also be answering them throughout the year. If the things build up and you want to know about production or design or development or art direction, we're working on some exciting things. We have all of our past projects we could talk about, but also future projects. Happy to chat on any part of the game process. We have this channel to talk and ask questions. We also have a Discord where we're currently play testing new stuff for Flamecraft with our fans. We're also going to be play testing more Andromeda's Edge. We're also going to be play testing more new games as well. And then we have our Facebook groups, which this streams in our Facebook groups as well. So you can ask questions in the Flamecraft, the Critter Kitchen, or the Andromeda's Edge Facebook group. You can also ask questions on BGG. We're over there as well. We are all over the place supporting our games. Andromeda's Edge is off to an amazing start in 2025, being named as a lot of lists for Game of the Year for 2024. So we're honored about that. And we're also fully talking to that community, because that game is just getting very exciting for people. Here is Mike's question. So I'm going to bring in Rosie. We're going to talk about games played because Mike's asking what games did I play recently that I'm still thinking about, and I do have a good answer for that. But let's see what Rosie is. How you doing?
Hello. Hello. I am adding banners. It's very exciting.
Nice, great. We've got a questions banner. That's awesome because we will take any and all questions about our stuff, games.
And if you're lucky and I have
World.
time, I might even type them out and then put them
Yeah.
up.
Woo! So I did this thing which I mentioned on the stream before we went on break called DonCon 4, which is an excuse to just play games at my buddy Don's house, but we make it into a convention with badges and everything. We also got a chance to do that over Christmas just because of the way the schedules lined up. And this was I often want to play games straight through Christmas, but I can't because there's lots of other things to do. I do have a son, and I've been dedicating Christmas to him for many years. But this time he was off on his own with his mom, and I was doing a full-on from December 22nd to December 27th, straight games. Played 36 in a row.
Not cool, man. I want to
It
do
was
that.
amazing. It was
I didn't get.
amazing.
If you imagine the opposite of that, that is what I got.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Let's just say that I went to a house full of sickness and they weren't in the mood for anything, and so it's just
oh,
like
no.
hacking coughs the whole time. And then Doug, my husband, and his brother played a game called Neon Hope, which is a prototype. It's a very two-player game, so I didn't get to join. And I went and had a nap.
Oh, okay. Well, nap is
Played
good.
my Switch for a
Nap
bit.
is a good game that I don't get to play a lot.
I get to play my Nintendo Switch a lot more when I'm on these breaks.
Yeah.
And then I did play some Crokinole, and I got to play. I think it was pretty much Crokinole until I came home, and then I played some BGA.
I haven't played Crokinole, honestly.
It's on my board, but it was a luxury to play someone's very fancy board, and it reminds me very slightly of the game Flick 'em Up, which is one of my favorite dexterity games.
Yep.
It's very silly, and there's cowboys and stuff, and I was very good at it when I first had it, and we just don't have the space anymore for this giant wooden.
I'm happy to say that none of the 36 games I played were dexterity games. My probably least favorite categories are, I will play anything, but party games and dexterity are probably like on the, like what I want to sink my teeth into is like, so we played, I added up all the numbers and put like 16 light games, 15 medium games, and 5 heavy games.
And is that the amount of times you played the games or the individual game names?
So that is 36 plays, but out of all of that, I want to say like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 were repeats or so. So it was like 30 uniques actually. So that was pretty good, I think. And the ones that we repeated were mostly the small ones. And we can just do it again really quickly because we did not like say repeat Civolution right after playing it. Although I would have. I think the Don and Will were like, nope, we're not doing that one again for a decent amount of time. Meanwhile, I was like, we just learned the strategies of this game. Let's go.
It's a big game.
That was one of the heavy ones, Civolution. I was very excited to play that game. Can you guess any of the other heavy ones that were on the list?
I don't even know.
And there were only 5 heavy titles.
Could you give me like some hints, some clues?
Sure. One of them is a game of the year for 2024.
Did you play Andromeda's Edge?
I did play Andromeda's Edge. But not only that, I played a ridiculous version of Andromeda's Edge, right? Because I was playing 3-player with Don and Will, and at the last second, Will says, put in Unity. And Unity is insane. And in 3-player, it mopped the floor. It just like crushed us all.
Yeah.
But I feel like I won that game because I had the best score after Unity. So I'm gonna count that win. I played as the Flame Keepers. So I was the Drakenheart Flame Keepers, and I was the Will and Don wanted to set the score for 50 points, so I didn't have enough time to really use the plushie prize, but there were raiders all over the place, and I was like, oh, my science vessel's gonna crush. I was gonna coast through these dangerous Regions of Space with the plushie prize. I was all excited for that, but I was building modules and developments and getting credits and having a blast with that faction.
That's very
I
cool.
wanted to redeem them a little bit because I have lost with them several times, and I was like, no, we're gonna get this. But Peter called it in the chat. But Peter, can you name any of? So I've named 2 of the 5 heavy games I played, which was Andromeda's Edge and Civolution. Can you name another one that's on the list?
Oh, Mike's got a guess.
Oh yeah.
City of Big
Oh, God, I
Shoulders.
love City of Big Shoulders, but I will tell you why City of Shoulders did not make it on this list, because Will Brown, the Hungry Gamer, views that game as too beige. He really is not a very Euro player, and that game is too dry for him. And if everyone doesn't know City of Big Shoulders, you are playing sort of a stock manipulation 18xx game where you're creating the worker placement spots, you're forming companies in the early part of Chicago, and you are trading different stocks. And it's a 6-hour. It could be I can see how someone could think that is very dry, but it is really awesome.
The name is the funnest part about
I
what you
know,
just
right? City of Big Shoulders is definitely.
I really want it to be like miniatures with giant shoulders.
I mean, it is that moment of Chicago in like 1904 when like companies were first starting, like Schwinn Bicycle and Oscar Mayer and Quaker Oats, and all these companies are just forming, and every company is asymmetric. So if you form Oscar Mayer Wiener hot dogs and you're trying to buy pork product and sell it on the streets, you got a different game than if you're trying to make Florisheim shoes. It's just so interesting, that game. But I did not play that one. Peter is correct again with another one of the big games played. I love Dwellings of Eldervale. We had to play Dwellings of Eldervale. In fact, Don had Dwellings of Eldervale on his 10 by 10. And he had played it 8 times in 2024. And so we said we have to contribute the 9th time. If he had let me, I would have said, let's go for your 10th play. But I later went home and found out he did get that 10th play in before the end of the year. So that's cool.
Did you play Will's Game of the Year, Conquest Princess?
We did not get a chance to play Conquest Princess.
I haven't played it either, but
I would like to. I got the big pledge of that, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, because Stonemeyer's also just come out saying he loves it. So
oh man,
I need to play it.
Will has told me, and this is the reason why I ended up backing it. Not just because I wanted to back Seppi and then support Fight in a Box, but Will plays a lot of those cooperative, like, trying to solve the puzzle games. He's like, this is the best one. Like, this is hands down the best one. And I was like, well, I have to get in on that. I will tell you another one of the heavy ones is a brand new game of 2024. Like, as Andromeda's Edge is a brand new game of 2024, this was also a brand new game.
Did you play Galactic Cruise?
Did not. I love Galactic Cruise. I don't have a copy yet because I backed it and it's not out yet. And when that one comes out, it could very easily be my game of the year for 2025. Or second to Critter Kitchen, obviously. We're going to put Critter Kitchen as the top game.
How big's the box?
Galactic Cruise? Oh, it's massive.
No, for this game that you played.
Okay, so it's a big box, but it's not Andromeda's Edge box size. Okay, we're talking about a regular square.
A regular
square, pretty thick regular square, and a lot of little extra boxes. Okay. A lot of bonus deluxe and extra materials. And this is a brand new one, like fall of 24 type of game.
Peter says Voidfall.
Not Voidfall. That one I think is probably it was out most of 2024. I have not gotten Voidfall to the table yet, and I do want to play that one.
People are guessing Arcs. Talking about also said that Arcs is pretty medium. It's
interesting. I didn't get Arcs to the table either, and I do want to play that one. I've actually heard so many great things about Arcs.
Critter Kitchen is not heavy, Peter C. Hayward. No, and you designed it. You should know that.
Critter Kitchen is in the medium category. This game I played is Unconscious Mind.
Was it the shiny box?
So good.
Was it the shiny?
Yeah, it's got holographic cards, and it's got It's by Fantasia.
It's pretty.
I know Johnny Pack did a lot of the dev. I don't know who's the designer. Maybe he did some of the design as well. Now, Unconscious Mind, I had heard is definitely a brain burner, and I had heard that there's just a lot going on, and there was because the theme of that game is that you are curing patients. Like Freud is curing patients left and right, and you're playing like a lesser known person than Freud, and you're trying to catch up to Freud and and basically cure people faster or do better job. And you've got all these patients who have conditions, and one of the most interesting things about it is that you get a patient and you put like a Rorschach like blob of like a translucent card over their face, which creates a pattern of like their dysfunction. And then you have to work to get that off. Like you have to like cure them of that, whatever that their like issues are. But then they also have nightmares, and those cards, you draft these different nightmare cards, which have all sorts of different ways to fix those. And it's like looking
I've
at
seen art
Dixit
of a
cards.
giant octopus near a woman in
Yeah.
bed, and it's like, what is this?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
yeah, the patients have conditions and nightmares, and one of the most interesting things about Unconscious Mind from a visual standpoint is that it's two artists, two amazing artists, which is Bosley doing most of the real world, like this is the actual psychiatrist's office and actual patient, and then Vincent Dutrait is doing all of the nightmares, all of the fantasy dream world stuff
not
is all Vincent.
not Andrew Bosley, is it?
Yeah,
Well, really?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is Bosley and Dutrait in a mashup. That's just epic.
That's
Um,
not cute animals or anything.
now, oh, Axel says it's the other way around. Okay, so Dutrait did all of the actual, so Bosley did all the Dream World stuff. Awesome.
That's cool. It's
Thank
it's
you.
like
Thank you
Sandara
for
with
this.
the badass dragons and the cute dragons. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just like,
So
oh, by the way.
it was a very interesting game. Like one of my favorite parts about Unconscious Mind is that there is a benefit to curing the nightmare, but there's a benefit the minute you take that translucent card off. Each patient has like an ongoing global ability that you get access to the minute you take that first layer off. So even if you can't cure them for the points, which is what you're trying to do, you can get their power, which will then catapult you to a different. You can get multiple patients. You can study, you go around town, like going to the library and going to do this, and you're basically like building up your power of sort of as a doctor, right? You're like getting it's so cool and asymmetric the way it builds up, and a little bit like Terra Mystica in the sense that you're manipulating. So Terra Mystica, of course, you're manipulating like energy in a sort of a cycle. This one has a round board with different focuses of energy, and you are moving tokens into the first, second, and third ring of power. And then as you do that, it's just really interesting the way you're moving your potential, acuity, the way that you could control the parts of that game are really interesting. The way you can move your focus in between different. Yeah, Axel's clarifying for me. The translucent layer is the grief layer, and you reach catharsis when you can take that off.
That
So
sounds really
it
fun. I
it's
think when I first heard about it, I was like, Freud.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's a very interesting theme for a game,
yeah,
and I think
it's
it was
cool.
very well executed. Just to go over the other heavy ones, because I believe there's only one more, right? Because we mentioned Civolution at the front, and the other heavy one is Castles of Burgundy. So that's
Oh,
two Feld games. I played the deluxe Castles of Burgundy, the one with like you got a vineyard. Every castle is replaced with like an actual little castle piece.
that's
It's
cute.
amazing. That game's so good. Um, but I played so many good medium and small ones. I have to mention a couple. Like I played Fromage. We did that
Oh,
one twice in a row. That one's really good. I played Guild of Merchants and Explorers. I think that was been out for a while, but I hadn't played that one. I played Yokohama, which is it's kind of goes way back. TMG published that one, and it's been solid. It's so good. I played Tesseract. I played Bunny Kingdom with Will and Sarah, and
that's a light game. That's a light game.
I put that as medium. but that is medium. But
Isn't
both,
that like area control, right? It's
yeah, it's area control, but it's like it's so satisfyingly full. You
yeah,
draft cards with like different endgame goals,
it's really
and
cute.
you
I
get a
like
lot of
just the way the bunnies just like spread.
it just so many bunnies. Oh my god.
First time I learned it, we were like, "We've not put enough bunnies out. We've got it wrong. There's more. There's way more
We were
bunnies."
playing with an expansion which was in the sky, so we were just
Mm,
bunnies were in the sky, bunnies were all over the place.
it's
It
very
was a
cute.
really good game. I also played Lord of the Rings Fellowship, the card game. That's like very interesting. We played a couple of rounds of that. I
How many
played
players does the trick taking one go up to?
I think it's I think it's 5.
That's
I
pretty
think it's
good.
2 to 5. Because you have because it's if anyone doesn't know, you start with only a couple characters and you have to use certain characters, but then as you go, you get more. It's a little bit of a it's not a legacy game. It's a campaign style trick taking cooperative game, and every time you play another round, you choose a different hobbit or a different character that comes out. Sometimes there's like very specifically just what's that farmer in the Shire? He's a character you can play in one round, but then after that he goes away. Like you don't have to worry about him anymore. But he has an interesting ability. So it's very fun to like play a trick taker and say which power am I gonna go for, right?
Is it like The Crew?
Is it like the crew? That's interesting because I haven't played the crew, so I can't like
Oh, I mean, The Crew's like I've played it a few times, and you're just like doing it in rounds and trying to do it as a team and achieve goals, and sometimes the goals get harder, sometimes I mean,
yeah,
it's
I
been
think
a really long time.
that's how I would describe it. It feels like that.
I mean, that's a trick-taking game. I don't think I described anything specifically crew there. Um, but,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, cooperatively, there are certain like absolutes where you have Frodo in the ring, obviously in every single one,
Mhm.
um, and you choose your other characters. A lot of them involve like for example, Gandalf must get one trick, and a certain other Hobbit, say, I think it's Pippin must have the least amount of tricks of everybody. So you don't have to play with Pippin in every scenario, but if you
Mhm.
do play with you look at your hand first, and then everybody drafts a character. So
Yeah.
you're like, "Well, this hand is a Pippin hand if I've ever seen one. I think I could lose this sucker." And then you're desperately like, "Oh, no, I can't take that one. I can't because I'm trying to," or you can take it, but you have to have less than everyone so that if you take one, then everyone's gotta take 2. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. I,
Um,
Peter very kindly sent me a copy of it, which is very nice of him, and, I
absolutely.
now have booked
Oh,
drafts of a
good.
special night
Oh, good.
celebrating it, and I'm gonna get apparently they have promos, and I'm like, "Right, I can repay the favor." So, like,
Nice.
yeah, it's,
I love that idea of, like, hosting a very specific game night. Like, I like
yeah.
doing that too, where you call out the game, you call out the people that are gonna come, and you specifically have those people play.
Yeah, no, I think Asmodee are hosting it because Asmodee are
Oh,
distributing it in
nice.
the UK, and so they did it for Magic the Gathering Bloomburrow, and they had, like, set dressing and related
Nice.
food, so anytime they do these events, I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna be good."
Yes, that's
So,
awesome.
I hope they all dress as hobbits. I'm putting that online now. If they're not, I will be
I
disappointed.
like how people are like, not enough cheese games, and that's true for fromage. Oh, you know what, the other thing, and of course, I saw Peter C. Hayward play. I was at another game event after this con, and I saw Peter like run several games of Critter Kitchen, which has cheese. So
Oh,
luckily, we got cheese covered. Um, I played also Skyrise, which could win an award from me for like the best deluxeified game I've ever seen of the year. I think
really?
Skyrise is it's well done, like super satisfying. What they did is that the board is it's a you're building these towers of different sizes, these minis that all are unique. Holy cow. All are unique molds, and you're building it on the deluxe version has the board is like sky and clouds,
Okay.
and then these boards that are on top of that are like all this steampunk wheels and gear edges to these boards that layer on top of each other where the buildings are built. So as you
Awesome.
stare at this thing, it feels like you're above the clouds because those steampunk platforms are built above the board. I
Sounds really
mean,
cool. I wanna, like,
it's
look at a picture of it.
early on, Mike Vanderveen said that playing that many games is like R&D, or it's helpful to sort of like that. I used this partly as that I want to see what other companies are doing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
Roxley Games nailed that deluxification and that experience.
Oh, it's
That
Roxley, of course, because
yes,
Santorini is
yeah,
also because you said clouds, and the thing I
yeah,
was like, "Well, Santorini's got
yeah.
that."
They know how to do that really well.
They're really good at that's really cool.
The other one that I played, and it's possibly game of the year for me, is River of Gold, which I think is
Mm.
amazing. I love that game. And I was gifted that game for Dunwell. And they also found someone to 3D print the pieces, so we were playing with the board's already deluxe, but then it was a deluxe experience.
Nice.
Um, yeah, there was a lot of really good ones. The other thing that I played over that whole time was I did play one of our prototypes of an upcoming Cardboard Alchemy game, so that was fun too.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. I did take Things in Rings and the Gang to
Mm.
Christmas. I did not get to play them, but I did get given for Christmas Love Letter Princess, which
Oh, nice.
is
Oh, I
based
like
on
that
a
version, yeah.
yeah, it's a really lovely version, and it's also got a comic book graphic novel that goes with it that Doug got me as
Cool.
well. And we played that, and it has a little dragon in it, a little
Oh,
baby
that's
dragon.
cute.
It's very cute. So that we played that, which was fun. But I didn't sadly get to play Things in Rings, even though we really wanted to. But I don't think his parents were in the mood for any games, no matter how good. So
Time for second Christmas, I agree.
it sounds like a
Um,
real good thing.
so I also saw Peter running games of well, I saw at this one game night, Things and Rings was being played, and I thought it was a very interesting way that it was being played. So it was being introduced to new people, and they were playing with only 2 out of the 3 rings, which I thought, "That's
It literally
interesting."
says in the game, start with one ring, and I have thrown every
Really?
single
Oh,
yeah.
I've always thrown all 3 rings, like, no, you
I
have to learn
I've
everything.
literally thrown everyone I know into,
Yeah,
3 rings and medium cards, yeah?
yeah. Oh my god, yeah,
So, yeah,
absolutely. I
I
don't
think
even
to
know,
teach the game,
yeah.
you're like, 1 ring I mean, obviously, the designers in the chat, you can tell us, but I remember reading the rules and it said start with 1 for, like, the youngest, and
Oh,
then, you know
I'm sorry, I
whereas
ignored
I'm just been
that.
throwing everyone I know into the deep end.
Yeah, 100% deep end.
Oopsie.
Yeah. Because I continue to believe, I know that was your game of the year for 2024.
Mm,
I continue to think that there is not a group of people that will not enjoy that game. Like, it is the most versatile game of 2024, because I think every group would play that game, whether
mm,
they're heavy gamers or intro to gamers, or, like, all it goes across for me,
yeah.
any group. Plus it plays, like, pretty much any number of people. It's party style, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if you had too many people in there, it would be like, well, too long before my turn, but it is flexible like that. People can come in and out. People can,
Well,
jump
it's
in
for
really quick.
me, I'm a very trusting gamer. I don't worry if someone else has. So in Things in Rings, the knower gets to decide based on the rule, kind of where they think the card needs to go, and I
Mhm.
wouldn't question their opinions on that. But I'm
Yeah.
aware that some people may have arguments because they would be like, "I
Oh,
don't agree with you." Whereas I've those kinds of games, I just go with it.
yeah.
They've got their logic. They've got their logic. Unless they're like my brother, genuinely messing with you, which he would do and
Yeah.
lying and going, "I'm gonna do that so you lose." But the knowers isn't has no intent on who wins or loses. So,
If
that's
you
the
wanna
only thing that
know
I think if you've got a group that's particularly um used to lying or being mean to each other,
oh,
maybe
no,
you might struggle, but
there's
I'm a very
there's
trusting
a time
gamer.
I was playing at BGG with Ascadelia. Now, I'm not gonna remember her example, so someday I'll have to ask her what this is, but she was playing with, I think it was Derek Funkhauser and Devin Norris, and inside a couple other people, and someone basically had reasoning for something that she's just like, "What?" And she will not let that go. Like, it's so funny. They continue to go out of that game and say, like, "This doesn't," like, it's like sharp object, and they were saying, like, something is a sharp object and it's clearly not, and they're like, "Yeah, it could be sharp." She's like, "No, it's not. Absolutely not. That's not possible. You're totally messed that one up." But I think that's actually part of the fun to
Yeah,
me.
I think it is as well. I think it depends if someone like fully disagrees and goes
Yeah.
no, but I really enjoyed the card would hurt if it fell on you, and so I just made the assumption for a lot of things would hurt, whereas someone else said that wouldn't hurt if it had to fall from a distance. And
Yeah,
I go,
so
but
you're the
all
one
of
that
the things I went with were falling from a distance. So, you know, but no, it's a lot of fun, and it's a very packed little box. There's definite
Yeah.
value for money in that box. So,
Yeah. There's something very awesome about the way that All Play only puts the things in 2 box
it's
sizes.
so funny. I literally have one here. This is the size of the box because it arrived. I unpackaged it and then put it here, and I completely forgot. But they're all this size for the most part. So
I mean, what's funny about that is I was talking to Peter and saying, like, we don't do that at Cardboard Alchemy. We don't have 2 box sizes. But actually,
we kind of
our
do.
retail version of games have so far only come out in 2 box sizes because Mission Catastrophe, Flamecraft, and Critter Kitchen Retail Edition all came in the same square. The Ticket to Ride 11.5 by 11.5 square, and Andromeda's Edge is our first long rectangle. And I think if we do Whisperwood and we do it like a long rectangle and we do it the same size as Andromeda's Edge, then we do have 2 box sizes. We just don't have the tiny box size. Now, of course, we're going to blow that with our next game, which happens to be our first small box thing that we're going to work on. But we haven't really talked too much about that yet. Some people have started to guess about it because we are.
So we had some questions for this live given to us in the comments. So whenever I share this live is happening, you're more than welcome to put questions in it. So if you're watching this later after the live and you're like, how do I ask questions? One, you could just ask underneath the video and I'll put it forward next time, or just comment on that. And we posted a New Year's artwork kindly drawn by Sandara Tang, and it has a bunch of things in it. It's very exciting.
Huh?
Am I glitching or you?
That's probably me.
Okay.
Probably me.
I never know.
Do we have that piece of art readily available?
I mean,
download it and I'll put it up.
Yes, that's a very good idea. We should have thought about doing that.
Totally, right?
We were like, everyone knows it. They've all got it tattooed already.
Right? I have to quickly turn it into a PDF to put it up here, but I will put the art up because Sinar made a very nice 2025 image for us.
It's beautiful. And we did say when we shared it that there are a number of Easter eggs in it for what's happening this year, 2025. So people started to give their guesses, which was really fun.
Yeah.
Got some rather fun ones on the old Instagram.
Let's see if I get this one up here.
Let's bring up the guesses. There were so many. Lots of guesses.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
So people noticed the little dragon in the bag.
That's right. There is a very tiny plant dragon, and Mike's got the guess right here, which is that a plant dragon plushie is coming.
Not babies, because I got a lot of
dragons.
A baby?
No, we're not doing baby dragons. But the little plush friends, people have been wanting the extra characters, and so there will be also an Iron Dragon plush as well. Those are gonna be fun. Those are gonna come in a crowdfunding campaign. So if you are a big fan of our plush characters, this is a chance to help make the other 2 a reality because we don't know how many people are interested in the rest of the plush set. We hear that a lot. We hear a lot of people talk about it. So we're gonna go forward with it, but then the campaign will help us decide how much interest there is. I think there's a bunch of people that are going to want the plant one. And specifically, I've heard about the plant, like desire for the plant plush for a while. Like a lot of people want
there are specific fan groups for them. And the one I hear about the most, apart from bread, is plant. Like it's always like bread dragons, and then it's plant dragons. We actually have someone who dressed up as a plant dragon. They made a full, incredible costume.
That was a cool moment of 2024. I've seen some people do like a bunch of posts where it's like just a slideshow. That would be in the awesomeness of 2024 slideshows. I think for the first time I saw cosplays of Flamecraft characters. We also saw a bread dragon at UKGE.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. So
was that the person who was like 9 months pregnant?
I don't know. I do know that we did have, someone was pregnant and visited us at the booth, which was amazing. But we did have, I think, and Manny Vega has had this fun aspect to his games, which is he keeps making cute, cozy games, and people want to dress up as the characters because he made Sparkle Kitty. And the very first time I saw people cosplay in Sparkle Kitty character garb, which is amazing. One of the Sparkle Kitty princesses is all green, so they had like full green face paint. And then of course this was seeing like a plant dragon, a big, fluffy head for the plant dragon was awesome.
I like some of the guesses that are incorrect.
Yeah, right.
The party hats, party game. Are we making a party game?
We are not making a party game. The party hats are strictly a Happy New Year thing. That's all.
Yeah, I remember when I just wrote a quick like, could you draw this? I went, stick some hats on them.
I mean, they're having a festive time. They were also not making fireworks.
We're also not doing that. Some of the guesses to do with the musical instruments was that we were making a Flamecraft soundtrack.
That's funny.
It's funny, isn't it? We're not really.
There are several references. I'll just go over this right now. The croissant bag is one of the references to our standalone sequel, Flamebound. Flamebound, the entire scene is kind of a Flamebound Easter egg because they are at a campfire. They are not in town. And why are they not in town? Because they're going on an adventure outside. They're going to go explore the world. And one of the things that happens is they all sort of take their own props. The bread dragon takes a croissant bag. There is one of the fancy dragons has a guitar. So they go off on this adventure. It's gonna be so much fun to see the dragons go explore, and that's one of the things we're talking about in 2025.
Indeed.
I want everyone. I mean, it's like I don't know whether we're gonna make a croissant bag, but I wish we could make a croissant bag. That would be something else.
Oh, at this point, it's just sticking a croissant on a bag.
Right. You can make your own croissant bag, and I know
totally
that Elizabeth in our Facebook group. If you haven't seen our Facebook group, and we were just talking about the plush, people do decorate, like they take their plush around, especially one of our favorite fans, Elizabeth, who takes her dragons everywhere, and they go on adventures. They've gone on more adventures than I think Flamebound will cover, but basically you get to see her dragons with props. She's been getting them ready for this adventure for a while. She's got a staff for the crystal dragon, and she's got the croissant bag and and scrolls for the bread dragon to go out to read the map. So I can definitely see if people want to get into the prop making, like as Jordan is saying right here, people could get into it if they want to. I don't know what we're going to make merch-wise for Flamebound yet. We will probably do some fun things. In fact, there is one thing we're doing that's like, okay, so this is, something that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but the Iron Dragon plush is going to have something with it as a Flamebound surprise. So we're going to get more into that. But the Iron Dragon is going to come with something special.
Yeah, because
it's going to be our first Flamebound item. So it's going to be kind of neat.
Are we still scaling them? Because obviously bread and it started off the smallest.
So the Iron Dragon is coming out the biggest plush out of all of them. So this will be the biggest plush we made.
What size dog do you think?
So we're not doing it like perhaps the ultimate scale that it would be in the game, because Iron Dragons are kind of they're quite a bit bigger, but it will be taller than the Crystal Dragon plush. It'll be the biggest one we've ever made. Very excited for that one.
I love it. That's awesome.
There's a couple more Easter eggs.
I mean, we have different concepts of Easter eggs for this, don't we? Because you're like really specific, and I'm like, Sandara's second favorite dragon is in this.
That's true. There's here's something I learned about when Sandara's doing these pieces of art. Now, a lot of people think that she just draws a dragon and another dragon and another dragon, but actually, one of the Easter eggs is that each one of the dragons in this scene is a dragon from Flamecraft. Like, these are not just, hey, it is a meat dragon sitting on a log or a potion dragon presenting a present. It's actually, she picks some of her favorites to draw. Like, for example, the dragon that's receiving the plant dragon plush is Twig. Twig is the first plant dragon ever to come to the town, right? Because we did some alt starters where these dragons come to town. So another Easter egg of sorts to me is that we're re-releasing the alt starters and Twig is in here. So I consider that an Easter egg, but I also consider that like Sundara picks dragons that she wants to see come alive again. And so her fancy dragon in the back, Taylor, is her second favorite fancy dragon.
Who in the comments on live knows her favorite dragon?
Yeah, she has a favorite.
She has a favorite.
And
as a hint, it is in the series 2 minis.
Yeah. She didn't want to give that too many that dragon too many times to shine, but she has already also drawn that favorite as the adventure photo on our first campaign, leaving town. So she's already drawn that dragon like ready to go on the adventure.
It's very cute.
So she thought Taylor should be up next.
There's like a running theme with her favorites, actually, like blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does, other than her avatar dragon. So like she has an avatar online that she uses in every place that she's online. And that's a very green. It's usually before it was turned into a flamecraft form. It is it's a massive green dragon with pink. So when she turned an avatar that we made into a dragon inside the game, so her character was her avatar's in the game. It is like a green fancy dragon with pink hair.
Isn't the crystal dragon the same as the crystal plushie? It might be, actually. I did notice the jewels on the tail.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be.
I have not asked Sundara. I do know that dragon right there holding the plant dragon plush is Frostfire. Frostfire, we learned this because we're working on some new art for crystal dragons, and I learned that Frostfire has very like blue indigo coloring. So I figured this out. I was like, oh, that's because this is why I thought it was just just a crystal dragon. No, that is Frostfire specifically. And I don't know that if she based the plush off of Frostfire, but the plush does not have that blue, so it could be a different dragon. We didn't officially name our plush characters.
Yeah, because then that would imply that we were making all of them.
Yeah.
Sundara's favorite dragon is Starburst, which is holding presents, and it's really fun to paint. I always leave that one till last because there's a lot of detail. There's gold. There's a lot of lovely like little star touches and stuff, and it would have been perfect in this because it's got presents.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But we did do Starburst. I believe appeared in our 2024 holiday.
Yeah.
So gotta vary it up.
Impy thought it was a baby dragon in the bag. Didn't realize it was a plush. I was getting all excited. I hope no one puts babies in bags.
Not even baby dragons.
I'm gonna go with I will say it's looking up like I could see why people thought it was a baby, but it is not.
There's also one that I know people have found a lot online, which is the fact that the potion dragon has a box that's like 2 different colors and says for 2, which is leading into one of our exciting things coming up. A lot of people guessed that one.
I had a lot of that. A lot of guesses for that.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying for 2. Does that mean 2 players? Does that mean 2 dragons?
Well,
it's just a whole game with just 2 dragons.
There's a couple things that we're going to be revealing about that, which is that it is a brand new game in the Flamecraft universe. It's not Flamecraft. It's not Flamecraft, but it will have Flamecraft dragons, and we're calling that one Flamecraft Duels. We're going to be talking a lot more about Flamecraft Duels. It is not EL, like there are a lot of dual games. This is dual as an AL, the duality of dragons. We're going to have dragons that are more than one type of artisan. So that's going to be really, really fun to reveal. I can't wait till people meet these new friends that are not just a bread dragon, not just a meat dragon. They're both. So like we have calzone, which is that meat and bread combo. I think it's awesome.
And as a Parks and Rec fan, I love it.
So we're going to be talking a lot about this. It's the duality is a fun part of it because it's also a 2-player game. So
yeah,
Yeah.
It's very exciting. I mostly play all of my games with one other person, so
There you go.
very
There's
excited.
a lot of people I think that are looking for that, like, hey, I want a quick game with someone else.
Yeah.
And this is also very specifically focused on because we're doing Flamebound, and the whole theme of the year for us is traveling outside of town. So we're making a travel friendly game, which is another part of what this is in this universe. We also need that game you can just grab and put in your purse or backpack and let's go. So I think that's what's going to be really exciting about this one. Can't wait
Yeah,
to introduce that some
it'll be
more.
living in my bag, that's for sure.
There you go. That's awesome. It's on the go, a Flamecraft game.
Love
So
it.
we'll talk more about that in our Facebook group. We'll talk about it in our newsletter. We'll have more to reveal on streams here because we are in the process right now. It's the early stages of getting some initial quotes and what the game is going to be in its entirety. And then when we start sharing it, we'll have a crowdfunding date and lots of fun things to talk about with that game. Yeah, we've got Sundar will have art to share. So that's funny. Love Letter Flamecraft. We could get there.
I
I love
mean,
how Love Letter has very like a very tight amount of cards. It's such a good game.
yeah, and I guess you'd have to hierarchy like stack the dragons in terms of importance, which is what that game sort of does, doesn't it? Takes characters and stacks them up.
This is funny. We're not going there. No, we're not going there. These hybrid dragons are just new dragons that have come into town. We're not going into anything related to how they got here, but they're going to be, these fun new artisans that we've never seen before.
One of the guesses was Flamecraft Junior, which I thought was a fascinating thing because
Yeah.
Flamecraft itself plays quite young.
There's new game ideas we're getting on the stream. Flamecraft Quick Murder Mystery. I mean, that's an awesome.
Where does the cake come in? Like, I'm so
I don't know, but it's awesome. I'm we've got the cupcake from our Critter Kitchen character in the corner. Maybe that's where that came from.
That's amazing.
So you're saying Junior, it's already a pretty light game, so we don't need a.
Yeah. I was surprised because I've seen Scythe Junior and I've seen games like that are heavy enough that need to be younger. But I was like, oh, I've already seen people, younger than the age we recommend playing it. It really just depends on the kid.
I do think there's been some parents in our Facebook group that have said, "Here's what I'm going to do: no fancy dragons. We're just going to play as a family with just artisan deck."
Yeah.
I think
I think it usually the junior thing usually fits games that just are not even appropriate for kids.
Smaller than the one we're planning, Dragonopolis. Yeah, we'll have to talk to Button Shy and say, listen, Monopoly, Flamecraft. That's funny. There would be
if you want to play a teeny tiny Flamecraft, it is in Rolling Redux as the tiniest game.
Yeah. In 2024, another fun milestone of 2024 was that Stonemaier Games released Rolling Realms Redux, and it has Flamecraft as one of the modules in that game, which is pretty neat. Yeah, that is the first game that's ever put Flamecraft in it, and I think there's another one coming. Another publisher asked us about putting it in their game, and then a third. I think we've had 3 requests so far. So the first one to do it is Stonemaier. It's really exciting that
the world
Flamecraft is that exciting for people. I would love that.
That's awesome. I think it's just so recognizable as well. You want something that people instantly go, "That's that," I think that's what's great about it.
Yeah. So we've got some more guesses of games here with Flamecraft Splendor. That's fun. But we'll leave some of those other things till. Well, we'll talk more about duels and what else is coming. We've got so many exciting things to talk about.
Did have some questions.
Yeah, let's hear some more questions about anything.
The Andromeda's Edge add-ons on the CBA US store.
Right.
Not realizing that CBA actually also means something else.
Cardboard Alchemy. That's what that is. Yeah, it's kind of funny because we use CA around here.
We use CA, yeah.
But it would be CBA sometimes. We actually also, there's like a manufacturer's code for every company, and you have to get a 3-digit code when you put these things on boxes or you're in a database. I think CBA was taken by another company, so I think like we're CBZ. We're something that doesn't. The other letter doesn't make any sense. But
I mean, I guess cardboard's one word, isn't it?
Yeah,
so it's probably safe.
Yeah, but and of course on Twitter. I remember when I was making the account on Twitter and Instagram, and we went like something was taken, so it became CB Alchemy spelled out.
Oh.
Anyway, Andromeda's Edge add-ons. So what we did is we said that we weren't going to do any add-ons on our shop until we got everybody their copies. There is actually some people in Saudi Arabia still just getting their copies, that like they got to the country, but they're still getting theirs. And then as soon as everyone is wrapped up, we are going to take all the extras that we have in each hub. Like we have some extras in Europe, we have some extras in USA, and we're going to take these extras and put whatever we can on our shop, which means that we're going to have things like jumbo dice and wooden tokens, the Flamecraft special card, the bonus promos, the hive, the sleeves,
Dice
the
trays?
dice trays, the coasters, all the stuff that we have any extras of. We generally put that on our shop. Now, we don't have an exact date for when that's going on our shop. It takes us a little bit of time to get the inventory counted and get those pages up on the shop. We will probably tell everyone via Game Found first, because that's where we funded Andromeda's Edge. We'll give everybody over there a chance if you missed out, but also then we'll quickly spread that through our newsletter and on our Andromeda's Edge Facebook group. So there's several ways you can find out when that's going to happen if you missed anything from Andromeda's Edge. Of course, if you missed the game itself, that's now in retail, and then we're also working on potentially some more content for Andromeda's Edge, so we'll have some exciting things potentially in 2025 about that. We actually, in a newsletter update, we announced the first new piece of content that's happening for Andromeda's Edge, which is that the Dice Tower is doing a annual Kickstarter. I think actually this year they're doing it on Game Found. They're not doing a Kickstarter.
Oh
They're
yeah, yeah,
doing
it's
an
on
annual
Game Pass, yeah.
crowdfunding though, and that's on January 16th. And there's going to be an Andromeda's Edge card in there, which super fun idea that came up. How could we get something in there that wasn't? I say this because a lot of people are concerned that they're going to be missing a card, because it is definitely a rarer card, but it's deliberately an art piece by Sergio with an existing mechanism that just adds to an event deck. So it's not like you're missing anything, but it is something kind of cool if you do support the Dice Tower and you want to see them make more videos, which is what we want to see for them, because they do a lot of content for this hobby. It's a little perk. Like the reason why you back their campaign is to support them, and then secondarily you get a little something. We have an Andromeda's Edge little something going over there, and then after that, we'll certainly look for that in there. They usually put all their promos at the end on BGG, and we'll probably have it in our shop later.
Yeah, I've seen them have them at conventions as well.
Yeah,
I remember at Essen they always have like a bunch of their stuff there. So it's pretty cool.
Promos are a difficult thing because they're very healthy for us to spread the games. Like we made a lot of Flamecraft promos in 23 while the other Flamecraft games have been cooking, and we couldn't give that to everyone in 23. But and even now in 24, there's people saying like, I want to get all the promos, so we're going to bundle all those in 25 and now offer up all those promos. So if you don't get them on round one, they're below. Like we're going to try and make sure that people can catch up on the promo front. But the people who want to be on the cutting edge of promos can certainly play that game if you want to play that game. I don't always play that game with everything that I have. Like if I play a game that I really like I played Tea Garden as one of the games out of the whole batch, and Tea Garden just had like a couple extra cards that I got at Essen, which was nice. If I didn't have those cards, I think Tea Garden is fine without those cards. But it's kind of like once I know I like Tea Garden, then I probably would have chased down every card I could get if I can.
Yeah, I've I love Everdell, and I don't own all the promos at all because there were so many made and they were hard to
There's so
break
many
down.
made. Yes.
And I was just like, I mean, it's so massive already. I wouldn't even notice if it wasn't in there. So
I
yeah.
remember a buddy of mine had Carcassonne, and then there was like little tiny tiles and
Yes.
things, and it's like, oh yeah, we don't have all of those, but you could get
I've
them if you want.
discovered some Carcassonne ones in the old art style before Z-Man Games redid it all.
Interesting.
At occasionally, like Board Game Extras sell the little triangle ones or the little city ones you start with, and I like getting them as gifts for my parents. But we have no idea how many there are out there for that game. I mean, that game is old now, so It's fun discovering them when they sort of appear. You're like, oh, I didn't know this existed, but I've definitely not
Yeah.
even gone down that rabbit hole, that's for sure.
I love making promo cards personally. Like, for example, one of the fun ideas I had when I worked at Breaking Games was for a game called We're Doomed. And the designer and I talked about making a promo card for each convention. So there was one for Gen Con, there was one for Essen, there was one for BGG, there was one for PAX U. But then we took all of those promo cards and literally folded that into the expansion. So if you were part of the people that like were going to shows, you got these like cool cards to play with for a little while, but then eventually that deck became out there.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody could get it. So promos are fun. I know that we have, speaking of promos, we might have, so we have an Andromeda's Edge promo to start the year. We're definitely doing more Flamecraft promos. 100% this year, we're getting some more Flamecraft promos. And then I think we're going to try a Critter Kitchen promo as well. But first, of course, we got to deliver the game. But I mean, then we'll have fun. Because Critter
If
Kitchen
I could have any Flamecraft shop I wanted, it would be a shop with loads of frogs in it somehow. Maybe some
You
kind
and
of
the
pond,
frogs.
like
You
a
and your
pond, like a
frogs.
special amphibian shop, or like just like a pet store,
There you
which
go.
is
Oh, a pet store is cute. We didn't like,
um,
in the early days when we were first making Flamecraft, we didn't want to like really talk about whether or not there were cats and dogs and other things in the town. But I did notice that like through promo, like one of the members of our team, Lauren, when she had like her personal dragon made by Sandara, Lauren is a big dog lover, and so Lauren is depicted as a bread dragon hugging a dog, beautiful dog. And so now dogs have like, that's like the first dog introduced in the
exciting.
Flamecraft universe.
Exactly. Oh look, Tim Chilwan's popped
There
in
we
to say a
go.
lily shop. I agree.
There you
I
go.
agree. It doesn't have to be a shop because we've got, a duck pond.
Yeah, we do have
So
this Lucky Lake, which is a promo that we made in 23, which is of course all the dragons at a lake feeding the ducks.
yeah,
Very consciously feeding the ducks not bread, which
seeds or
was,
peas. Yeah.
the bread dragon was there, and the bread dragon is aware that the ducks don't need the bread.
But yeah, I think Sandara's now over that I don't draw frogs thing. So,
So
you know.
we can do that, right? We actually, yeah, we're working on frogs in our games. I mean, we're working on it.
It's important.
There's a frog
I
coming
just
out in
love
our
it.
next
I think
game.
that's so
So
fun about the shops is that there's just so many avenues you can go down with
yeah.
I
You
mean, the fact of the matter is there's multiple like baked goods ones and cake ones, and there's
yeah.
just so many things you could do.
You know, my favorite little animal that was introduced in Flamecraft originally was at the pizza coven shop. There are these two little birds called, they're sparrow griffs, is what Sandar decided they are.
Oh,
There's little sparrow griffs right outside the pizza coven sign, just like hanging out of the shop. Those were cute.
so there could be an aviary in
That's right. It could be an aviary. Like, there's no end to awesome shop
there's
ideas.
literally no end to this town that could become a city. The amount of shops in it. I love it.
Right. Yep.
And there was one more question, which was, I have a prototype of a game that I'd like to bring to market. Would you advise going to a traditional publisher or self-publishing?
Ooh, that is a tough question. I used to be the head of development for Breaking Games, and I do, of course, talk to a lot of friends that are going two different routes, right? There is definitely, like, if you take our friend Luke Laurie, who's a designer of Andromeda's Edge and several other games, he never wants to self-publish because he understands where he sits and he wants to make design after design after design. If you self-publish, this is the route that I went, as soon as I made the game What the Food and I was a publisher and I started going to shows and I was distributing and I was doing freight, all of a sudden you can't design anymore because you're now a publisher. So
Yeah.
just be aware that self-publishing leads down the road of publisher, which is sometimes exactly what people want to do. They like the financials and they like to control all the art direction and they like to publish it, and you get a bigger piece of the pie, but you do more work. You do 24/7 work. You're manufacturing, you're doing freight, you're going to shows, you're trying to survive as a board game publisher. I have a friend right now, Scott Rogers, who published his own game outside of the traditional channels. And he did that with Panda, and he did a small run. He just wanted to see how it felt. He wanted to learn the publishing side, but he very quickly has seen that it is so much work that you have to really decide, is that like what you want to do, bring games and products to life, or do you want to design the core, the experience, and work on, say, many of them in that limited capacity, but you're like one artistic part of the game, the core part, but also a piece of it. I think that Peter C. Hayward and Alex Cutler are very interesting examples, because both of them worked on the development or publishing side, but then presented us Critter Kitchen and said, you take this game all the way to market. So I don't know what the best answer is. It's an individual journey. It's like going down a path and saying, I mean, you can do both. Like if you say Peter and Alex have shown that you can do both, but I believe to be truly great at it, you have to pick one.
And this depends on the scale of your game. It depends
Yeah,
on,
it
like, is
does.
it a small card game? Is it a massive game?
Yes.
All of that will weigh into how much work it's going to be.
Sure. Like when I was crowdfunding What the Food, I was deliberately crowdfunding a card game. I said, you know what I think I can do? 2 decks, 3 decks of cards in a box. That's way different than Dwellings of Eldervale, which was a Mount Everest to climb, and I didn't do it until I was 10 games in, or 30 games in. 10 crowdfundings, but 30 like dev projects. So and Andromeda's Edge was the most ambitious thing that I personally have ever been involved in, and I probably wanted to collapse several times during that process. So the self-publishing route it seems sexy and interesting because you do control so many parts of the process, but it is also grueling, and it's a passion project. It's not always a financially successful passion project.
Is it literally starting a business? Is that what it
It
is?
is.
Like,
It is
so
literally
I
starting a
think you should
business.
ask the question, would you advise going to a publisher or starting a business? Because I think
Correct.
self-publishing always sounds like,
oh yeah,
like printing your own book, but even then I think it's different, because there's so many aspects to making a game compared to printing something.
I mean, to be clear, you can self-publish like Scott Rogers just did with Oh No, There Goes Tokyo, and just call it a one-off. You can print something and get it into your garage, and you can say, listen, I just wanted to make a chess-like game for my family, or I just wanted to try this out and kickstart something for fun. I mean, you can definitely self-publish at any scale. You can go to the Game Crafter, you can go on Kickstarter, you can make it by hand. You don't have to go and make 1,000 copies or 10,000 copies for Target. But if I look seriously at the self-publishing, where does it lead to? If you were wanting to do it as more than a hobby, it leads to, well, I need to go sell the excess copies at this show. The show costs this much money, and I have to freight these copies in, and I have to figure out where I'm warehousing said copies. It leads to all of the other conversations. So,
and then also there's all different kinds of publisher.
yeah.
Like if you're, I think one of lots of my friends design games, and they go, how do I bring my game to people? And I always say, well, there's different kinds of publishers. There's some publishers who will literally work with you to create the game, and it might mean it takes a lot longer. It might mean that you don't see immediate like rewards from it in terms of money and stuff, but if you want to really be involved and make sure that your vision is still there, then you can do that. But some other publishers just take your game and they go, thank you very much, we'll buy your game, and then they could change it a lot, but that's just how it goes. So there are different ways you could go with, even with the publisher route. So
I think that Cardboard Alchemy tends to work really closely with the designers. So we love having that collaboration. But I have heard of like, say, just the publisher takes your game, they change the theme, they change the rules, they publish it, you get your royalty for giving them the idea, but they're not asking you for anything else. It just depends on that level of control is often why some people will say, listen, I want to have more insight. But there are publishers that let you have a lot of insight into the process. It just depends. And like, you're totally right when you say different kinds of publishers. Cardboard Alchemy represents a model of publishing that is crowdfunding, but there are publishers that go straight to market. Like, I'm friends with different publishers, like 25th Century Games goes straight to market. Just like add a show, makes a lot of imports happen. Like they'll take a game that's already been successful in another market, bring it to the United States, publish a certain amount of them, put it out at the show, and it sells. And they don't crowdfund that at all. If you take All Play does a hybrid. Sometimes they're on crowdfunding, sometimes, but most of the time they're not on crowdfunding.
Yeah.
If you're going to go the route of going to a traditional publisher, what I would advise is you look at your game and look deeply at who it fits. Because someone will come to me and say, "Oh, I've got this game," and I'll think, you know who would like that is, like, for example, I saw a game that just reminded me of Azul. It reminded me of a game that I was like, Plan B would be the perfect publisher, or oh, this is good for the
Yeah.
op, or this is good for someone like Stonemaier, Orange Nebula, or All Play. There's lots of different publishers out there. So if you are going to go the route of pitching to a publisher, try and look at the games they make and see which company you fit. Where your game fits.
Yeah. And they're all really lovely to talk to for them. I found that everyone's very friendly, no matter like the size of the business or whatever. People are always very open to talking about it, and so lovely for an industry to be so community based, just because you couldn't do that with like other industries. Like,
the toy industry, which we're very close to in the board game industry, is a very closed door, secret idea, NDA type of industry. And the board game industry is like sharing and talking and how did you do this and how did you do that. And I think the board game industry is extremely friendly.
You could literally see the difference when you go to I go to Toy Fair, which is an industry based thing, but there's board games there and stuff, and literally all of the stands are walled up with secretaries on the front, and you go up and go, "Hey, I'd love to." No, you got an appointment? Absolutely not. And you're like, "Oh, I'd love to talk." No, okay, fine. Whereas that's quite rare unless you're at Essen and it's like manufacturing conversations. It's still very open, which is lovely. So it's a very big difference for such. We're still toys, but we're still so different to how that's run. So yeah.
Speaking of hello, how's it going?
Hello.
Happy New Year. Speaking of that kind of thing, we are going to a industry-based show at the beginning of the year, which is called GAMA. It is a show that's the Game and Manufacturers Association. So basically, it's a lot of board game publishers, but it's also a lot of board game manufacturers and a lot of board game retailers and a lot of board game content creators. Really interesting show because it mixes everybody together, and then you find out what everyone's doing. I think last year or the year before at GAMA was the year that like Gnome Hollow surprised everyone. And there's going to be exciting this year at GAMA because Critter Kitchen, which releases to backers in days, like we're talking days away from now, Critter Kitchen will be there at GAMA, but also its retail release is April, so it's actually interesting to see Critter Kitchen go through the crowdfunding loop and then also the retail side of it. Ellie's trying to catch up to Flamecraft duos. It's not duos, it's duels with a ALS, which is two different. The dragons are like mixed together in a fun way. So Sandara, I will tell you that Sandara said that she's most excited for combining iron and crystal together, and the dragon name of Iron Crystal is Razor Claw, which is going to be fun. I love how the Flamecraft crystal dragons are very serious, like dragon names, and then when you put iron in the mix, it's Razor Claw. I think it's so awesome. I just think it's
sounds like a brand of roller skate.
Yeah,
cutting up things. Yeah.
So I'm not going to give all the mixes away, but when you mix crystal and meat together, it's also awesome. Just saying.
Yeah, I've seen bits and it's awesome. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
I think that was there was a question which probably is too long to answer now.
Okay, we'll see.
Andromeda's Edge. Do you think it would have made even more top 10 or 24 lists if critics/YouTubers had not adopted the opinion of Mike DeLucio that is essentially a remake of an existing game? Disagree here.
Interesting. Yeah, Mike DeLucio, if everyone doesn't know, Tom Vassell at the Dice Tower put Andromeda's Edge as his number 2 game, and he was gushing about it. And Mike Delicio, who was expected to put it as number 1, said, it is amazing, and I would be putting it there, but I'm going to take it off the list because it's a re-implementation of Dwellings of Eldervale, which I disagree with completely. I was heavily involved in the development of Dwellings of Eldervale. It was my baby. Luke and I came up with that on a car ride, and I love Dwellings of Eldervale. But Andromeda's Edge is a different game. It's not. It is, yes, you get Luke Laurie bits and pieces. In fact, if you look at Andromeda's Edge, it is the culmination of all of Luke Laurie's work with his son Maximus, which means that it has bits and pieces from Manhattan Project Energy Empire. I would not say Andromeda's Edge is just a reimplementation of Manhattan Project Energy Empire either, but you can see Luke Laurie DNA in that. He loves worker placement games where the worker tab, like your tableau, is activated when you pull back. And surprise, when Luke Laurie comes out with another game, and I know several of his upcoming games, they're all going to do cool interactive pullback turns because that's his thing. So I think that Andromeda's Edge has shared. I know Mike Vanderveen, who works at Breaking Games, is also with me on this. There are like dozens and dozens of things that I think are different between each game. And since we were talking at the beginning of the stream about how I just played both over the holidays, I still love both, and I think they're very different vibes.
I love this, Mark Dandridge. Dwellings is checkers, Andromeda's Edge is chess. I've got to say, obviously we've got our own opinions as a company, but Mark Dandridge has played it so many times, more than I think anyone.
That's true.
Maybe Luke is the only person, Luke and yourself, have played it the most. So if Mark Dandridge says they're different,
yeah. The next time I run into Mike Delicio, I'm going to ask him about how he feels, because he has said that several times, that he thinks it's basically Dwellings. I don't think so, but that's like my take on it. I think Andromeda's Edge is it certainly swirls around some of the same mechanisms, right?
I mean, if you look at like
gasp, that's so funny.
If you look at games like Love Letter, when they just go Love Letter this, it's the same game. Like, it's exactly the same game when they reskin them.
There was
it's so different.
This reminds me too about a thread that happened at the beginning of 2024 that I really did not like, which is that when Wormspan was announced, there was a lot of derogatory posts about how it's just a reskin. And Stonemeyer came out and said there are like 16 different differences, and then we did this, we did that, and a lot of people were like mad about it being anywhere in the same ballpark, or like that it was a cash grab by the company. And I was like, I don't think that at all, right? The fans of Wingspan, which there are many, then they get something that feels familiar and yet goes to a different place, and the publisher gets to revisit a game. I certainly think that, like, as a company, here we're doing Andromeda's Edge, which is like building on what Dwellings initiated as like, oh, here are some worker placement practices that we think are great, and now we're going to take those and we're going to go to another place with them. But also Flamecraft is an interesting one because it's very popular, and we're making people asked for an expansion, we're making a standalone sequel. I think it's valid to take a game that has a fan base and go somewhere else with it. I think, sure, you could get too close. I wouldn't want to see, like, I mean, if you take a game like Terra Mystica and Gaia Project, which are also different, I wouldn't want to see like a straight, this card literally could be this card. I think then I would be a little bit disappointed, but none of the games we're talking about are like that.
And everyone knows it's Mike's number one, right?
Yes. AES players will make very different decisions. Yeah, it does. There's actually a lot of people who have also pointed out that, like, you know, if you're talking about, a lot of times we equate games to food. I still want to do like a food pairing with games. Dwellings is a lighter course to me, and it certainly is. Like, you can get, you know what you're going to get. You know, some of the times, you know, you have a very fun opening decision in Dwellings, which is like, oh, I want to pick the fire element, and I'm going to pick to play water, and then those cards are going to be in this game. But then you get so much less engine building cards, and essentially what you're doing is a race to dwell and go up these tracks, which are all symmetrical. But you're you're having a romp through elemental realms. I think it is like so much. It's a different package of a game, right?
Yeah, and the fact
Yeah.
that you played Dwellings and Andromeda's Edge in the same weekend, like, you wouldn't necessarily go, "I'm gonna play the exact same game again." Like,
Yeah.
I think
Well,
you pick
the another thing to go to the question, which was, do you think it would have been more top tens? I think by virtue of the fact that as Luke makes games, he's going to have some people say like, well, Manhattan Project Energy Empire was like number one, and then Dwellings is number here, and then Drama's Edge is number here. So I think for some people it'll actually get in more lists because Luke becomes more well known for a certain type of game, and the people who love that game are going to put it at the top of their list. But then also people are going to say, I've already seen that, and I want something fresh.
Yeah.
So I think we're honored to be in any list. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm super excited I'm super excited to see Andromeda's Edge be in lists. I was actually excited to see that Critter Kitchen, which isn't even out yet, was in lists, which is like mind blowing.
Yeah, I think companies don't really aim for it. They just really nice when it happens.
Yeah,
Like winning awards, you're like, "Oh, that's lovely. That's really
we're
sweet. Thank
going
you."
for, and
So
I say this, we're essentially making games for ourselves first. It's lovely that anyone else wants to play the games, but secret, we want to have like a fun game and make
Yeah,
it, and then we're going to make it. And
yeah,
then at the end of that, we're like, oh, cool. That's so awesome. Because I remember Mike DeLisio was originally saying, like, it feels like Dwellings was made for me. And I
yeah,
was like, that's so awesome you think that, because it was like Dwellings was made for me. That's what I was made for me first. But I love that he thinks it was made for him. And I love that when I just saw Board Game Buzz, she was shouting out Andromeda's Edge, but she said, but I like Dwellings better. And I'm like, that's awesome. That I love that you like either one of those games is an honor. It's an
yeah.
honor to have like put all that crafting time in and then have someone go, I like this. This is why I want
Yeah.
to play this again.
And Mark Monk, Ninja Geek Games, it's his game of all time now. Like, not just number one game of 2024, it's ever, which is
Yeah.
really, really lovely
Yeah,
because,
that's so cool.
people discovering, a lot of people get a lot of games. He gets a lot of games, and
Yeah.
for him to be like, I'm playing this with my mates all the time, that's
Yeah.
like that's incredible because his valuable time that he's spending with his friends, he's choosing to keep playing Andromeda's Edge, which is
Yeah.
awesome. So
By the way, Mark, I have a fun story for you about Whistle Mountain in Andromeda's Edge, because of course Luke's games do inspire Luke's other games. And he had a mechanism in Andromeda's Edge like that was almost straight out of Whistle Mountain, which was that originally leaders had to be saved or you took negative points. And I did not like that. I know that Whistle Mountain has a very strong, you must save everyone from the river, otherwise you lose points. I did not want that in Andromeda's Edge. We tried that, and it made me feel too bad if I didn't get them. Like, I just didn't want to not get them. So I didn't like the way that felt, but it was so, but Luke was like, oh, we could just, it's like, so he loves it, and he was going to put it in there. So the designer was like, I love this mechanism. And I said, nope, we're not going to see that one. Not doing it. I like Whistle Mountain a lot. It's my least favorite part, I think, is the stress of feeling like I'm going to lose points.
it's like patchwork. Every space is -2.
Oh, it like reminds me of Isle of Cats, where I'm like, I can't get negatives. I
Yeah,
don't
I Love
want.
Cats is the most stressful. No, Calico is the most stressful cozy game ever because you
Yeah.
cannot fit. You
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
It's like, would you like to choose between one of these two? Oh, then neither of them are good. But yeah, I Love Cats is very similar.
Yeah.
Very, very frustrating.
Yeah. And it's funny because this is brought up. It's like failing to feed people. Um, and that is like Chris Strain on our team often says that, like, oh, I gotta feed my people, which is a thing in Civolution, which I was talking about earlier. There is definitely you're playing a civilization game, and there is a moment where you have to feed, but they had made it like Steffenfeld made it where if you don't feed the person, they just fall down. And the only thing they can't do while they're weak is they can't move. So you
Okay.
literally have 2 rounds to feed them, because the first time you don't feed them, they just fall down. The second time you don't feed them, then yes, you're not taking care of them.
I love that. Is it a meeple? Like a little
Yeah, it's a meatball, and it just, like, falls down,
This is
and it's
like in Carcassonne, the farmers lie down?
yeah, that's all that happens. But I like that there's this like, "Oh, I can't get food this round, so they're all gonna lay down, I'll deal with it later." I liked that a lot. I thought that was a nice way of making it not as painful, um,
Yeah.
because you
Oh,
can't have that problem.
love it.
Yeah, well, we've covered a lot of games.
Mm.
If everyone's let me ramble about games, but that's I want to hear what games you're playing, because it's still early in the year. By the time we meet again, I will have my first game of 2025 figured out, because I haven't played one yet in the 3 days that we've
I
had.
thought you meant your game of 2025. I'm like, that is
Oh, no.
early.
No, I'm not calling it that early. Not calling it that early, but I will.
My first game of 2025 was we played Harmonies,
Okay.
but I feel like we played Dwarf Romantic. We're trying to get 300
Okay.
points. We're
Okay.
not getting 300 points, but it's fun. And I did then get influence very quickly, but all the top 10 lists, and I ordered Flip 7
Oh,
because I
Flip
keep
7's
hearing about Flip 7 and it's really small. And I ordered Dwarf Romantic Sakura because apparently it is different to
yeah,
Dwarf Romantic. It's got different, so I'm gonna give it a go. I'm excited. I like
yeah.
pretty Japanese landscapes, so
Yeah, I think, I mean, if I could, the last game I played in 2024 was Tea Garden. Sorry to hear that,
that
Matthew.
sucks.
Um, when you get to play your first game in 2025, we want to hear what it is, because I have not played my first one of 2025 yet. But my last one of 24 was Tea Garden, which is really good. I definitely, it's by the same designer as Galileo Galilei, which has made a lot of top 10, and SETI, which has made a lot of top 10. So this designer's on fire. Tomas, I forget the last name, but Tea Garden is so good with very tight multi-use cards, which is fantastic.
It sounds pretty. Is it about tea?
It is about tea. You start off with one, you start off with like one ability to make tea in like one region, but it's like you're making kind of average tea, because in the game you have these tea baskets which make tea from level 1 to level 6, the
Okay.
best. And the start of the game you can make you get 2 tea leaves that are level 2, so like not the worst, but certainly not the best tea. But as you are able to build buildings, you can. Oh, that's awesome, Mark. By the way, first game of 2025, Andromeda's Edge. What a way to go! Mark Dainty did the same thing, so I love it. But as you go, you can place buildings to like harvest more leaves. And one of the things I think is really fun in Tea Garden is that you get these green leaves, and at the end of every round, all the green leaves degrade one. They start to spoil, but all of the brown fermented leaves increase in value.
Ooh.
So if you can get brown leaves in your baskets by the end of the round, then they're gonna increase. So it's pretty
There's
fun.
white tea in the game
There's no
because apparently that's like the most rarest tea. It just takes really ages to make, and I was just,
they don't like specifically say what kind of tea you're making,
oh, okay, fair enough.
but
That's it sounds cool. I like tea themed things.
yeah, me too.
Anything to do with drinks or like beverages, I think is fun. So yeah.
You
Oh,
are
yeah.
probably a potion dragon at heart. Yeah.
I like loose leaf tea. What can I say?
There you go. I'm totally on board.
I don't like coffee though, so I'm never that fussed about coffee themed games. I'm always like,
Yeah,
"Eh."
I was at DonCon. I had the tea going, and Don and Will were doing like a fancy coffee machine,
And they
and
were like,
I was like, I really want coffee because it smells amazing, but it doesn't taste amazing to me. It needs to be doctored with so much stuff: milk, cinnamon, sugar,
yeah, it's like this much
everything.
coffee and then
It
just
needs
like
everything. Yeah, it needs like very little coffee, and like everything else has to be something else.
it's how it's done in Starbucks, so and that's
Yeah.
fair.
So, but I did have some, and it made unconscious mind, just because it's funny about unconscious mind is that coffee is a resource. That is how you take like
Um,
extra turns and whatnot, as that you're like drinking coffee. And I was like, this is perfectly thematic, and I'm really into it.
that's fun. I can imagine like So tell me
Yeah,
about what's going on with you,
exactly.
and how do
Yeah,
you feel about that?
it's a fun resource to have in that game. You're, like, staying up late, having coffee. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for those that made it this far, I unboxed Critter Kitchen today,
Yeah.
and I filmed it obviously, so it took me ages, because I also did the Andromeda's Edge unboxing videos. So I have now started work on that, and
Yay.
it's beautiful. And I did have to refilm the odd bit where I went "Ooh" too loudly. And I also got Lily out and was like, "This is the best
Nice.
one."
That's great. There's an odd bias to the unboxing.
Just like a watermark of a frog over the whole
Yeah,
video.
yeah, there you go. Excellent. Well, that's gonna be exciting. I can't wait to have all the videos come out for Critter Kitchen,
It's
and we
beautiful.
need to schedule another because we just got the TTS back up to speed,
Mm.
so you could play Critter Kitchen, which means we can now have another designer versus designer match. I'll have to
Yes.
do that
Okay.
too. Yeah.
We have to get that scheduled. Hope
Yes.
maybe that's around the time of a lot of people have received their game.
Yeah,
Maybe
that'd be
around
fun, right? To talk
that'd be
about because the other thing that we're gonna release to talk about Critter Kitchen, Peter C. Hayward has started to make a series of cart combos. Like if you want to play 3 carts, he has advice about these 3 carts will feel like this and these 3 carts will feel like this. I can't wait to
yeah.
like put those up in the Facebook group just so that people have like, oh, I want to play with this combo as recommended by the designer. I want a cutthroat game. For Tim Chewin, we're gonna have like the brutal assault everyone in the whole in every restaurant.
Yeah.
And then for other people who don't want to do that, we'll have another like, super production combo, like where you're making a lot of stuff.
Mike's telling me not to play Flip 7. That's on its way.
I think Flip 7 is definitely, Mike's opinion, notwithstanding. I did play it. It wasn't my favorite, but I do understand why it's addictive to people.
Yeah, I
It's
got it because I like little card games that I could play while chatting with friends.
yeah.
Literally, I had a lot of games at my wedding, and the game people were playing was Guess the Playing Card. And then that was the
Oh
game they were
wow.
playing. There was
Well,
like
they'll
10 of them,
go
and
to Flip 7 instead. Yeah.
some of those people were board game reviewers, and that's what they picked. And there were games that would play that number, and they were like, Queen of Hearts. Ah, that's what they played.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
So
guarantee Flip 7 is better than taking a deck of cards and trying to guess the place.
right.
Guarantee it.
That's the review.
I
It
would
is
write that
better
review
than
out at any time that the op needs it. But no,
yeah.
it's a great game. I totally get how it could be someone's like it's a little bit of a novelty thing, so I think people will you'll see some people say, "Well, I've seen it, I don't need to see it," and other people who say, "I could travel around with Flip 7 all the time because I'll get big groups of people to play it and it's fun."
When I saw the size of it, that's what made me buy it because I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's really small. I like that."
it is a it's this is one of the reasons why I'm excited about making Flamecraft Duels as well, is that it is great to have these travel games. Because I will say that something that I saw happen at PAX Unplugged is that you cannot travel easily with Andromeda's Edge. Like, you
Even
need
with a Critter Kitchen tote?
yeah, I mean, you can put it in a Critter Kitchen tote, which will make your life easier. And I think when that Critter Kitchen tote's available, people will be able to move around with Flamecraft, Critter Kitchen, Andromeda's Edge, and Mission Catastrophe with a lot easier of a time.
Yeah.
But it is nice to have those real small ones. A game that I in my list that I introduced to Don and Will was Castle Combo.
I
I
played
love
that.
that one for like a really quick and then we also played Far Away, which tiny box
I played
frankly
them both at the same time, and I feel like that may have
that's
messed with
wait,
me.
were you
I
playing
was
both games at the same time?
well, no, I just around the same time, and I
Yeah,
think the problem I have is Castle Combo was on top of a lot of people's lists, and I was like expecting it to be really different, and then I went, "Oh, this kind of fills the same gap Far Away fills for me."
they're
Um,
they're
so
really
I
good.
was like, I I don't know if I've played a lot of games where it's about a grid and there's things,
Yeah,
and it's a really good game. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's a really good game. I
yeah,
just have a lot of games like that in my collection, so I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I
yeah,
I, I need to lower my like it's new and exciting to it's a good game." Yeah.
yeah.
So so yeah.
One that we didn't get to play is I acquired a copy of like 1 AM Jailbreak. I didn't get the chance to play that one, but that's a small game by Saatchi and Saatchi. I just love
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
title. I think that's like, I want to know what happens in this game.
I love
Yeah,
Saatchi and Saatchi. They
yeah,
make the most fun themes I've seen, like, just,
yeah.
like, "Get on a bus." "Okay."
Okay, we're playing a game about passengers on a bus.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Well, we have talked about a lot of different games and given you ideas of what to play. And now we want to hear what you've decided to go with for your first game of 2025. We'll cover that. We'll cover, someone did a very nice shout out and said, this is a birthday month for me. It is for Rosie as well. So we're going to have a fun
yes, indeed.
January where we're going to reveal more things and we're going to
You
talk.
may notice a live when I'm not in it and a live when Peter's not in it.
Correct. That'll happen in both cases. Yes. I think we'll be off playing games and whatnot.
Exactly,
But
yes.
we'll be here consistently throughout the year to talk about all the fun news we got coming up. There's
Yes.
quite a bit coming. This is probably, I have probably said this before, this is, I think, the most ambitious year that Cardboard Alchemy has ever attempted. Cardboard Alchemy also turns 5 in 2025, which is exciting from another standpoint, which is like we've made it this far. A lot of game companies. I have started other game companies and not seen them go 5 years, so pretty exciting to have that milestone.
And through lockdown, I mean,
Right? We started in one of the tougher years,
that's
and
pretty amazing.
yeah. So we've expanded the team a little bit, which is exciting as well.
Yeah.
So that we can try bigger and better, awesome things and share it with you. So this is exciting this year, and thank you for joining us. If we missed any questions, you can ask on this video. You can ask in Discord or Facebook. Get in touch with us. We'll be happy to chat about
We
games.
are everywhere.
Yes.
And
All
it's
right.
usually me.
Yep. You could get a hold of Rosie on TikTok too, because we have a TikTok
You
channel.
could start 4
Now,
conversations with me at the same time.
I don't know how long we'll have a TikTok channel, but we have one for now.
Hopefully, me
Yeah,
being in the UK will help.
there you go. Yes, we'll have the UK access to our TikTok at any time. All right, everybody.